Welcome to We Wine Whenever. I'm Wendy.
I'm Kelly.
Today we are talking about the Real Housewives of Potomac Season 9, Episode number 2, and it is called Double Trouble. We start out kind of where we ended off at the birthday lunch with Mia was in the bathroom crying. And Jassi, Stacey, and Jacqueline were in there with her because Karen and Giselle were going after her about how she was parenting and what was going on between her and her ex-G, which really was not their place to be talking about.
To me, especially, Giselle mainly because that's not your friend. Like, Karen brought Mia on, so they had like a relationship established. But in my opinion, right now, Karen should be minding her own business about everybody. I know they're filming a show, but I don't know. I feel like Shannon handled her DUI. I feel like Shannon was much more humble than Karen is right now.
Definitely. Right? Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Like, who is Karen to be pointing fingers at anybody right now?
No, I totally agree. And there was something on, I think it was Facebook, where they showed all the other housewives that have gotten DUIs in the past, and none of them have been dragged the way Shannon has. None of them.
Oh, I believe it.
And I agree. Shannon came in humble and owned her stuff, and that's all you can do.
Do you know, and I know this is OC, so I'm sorry, I just want to say this real quick. I read where Tamra said that Shannon should be thankful that Alexis came on the show so everybody wasn't focusing on her alcohol problem and DUI. And I thought, what is she talking about? Tamra brought that up every opportunity she got.
Yes, she did.
It wasn't like they didn't address it. Of course they addressed it, and Tamra kept bringing it up. So what is she talking about?
No, I did see that.
I'm starting to worry about Tamra. Like, I'm starting to worry that she's got some issues where our reality is not the same as her reality. Like, I think she really believes herself.
Oh, she definitely believes herself.
And that's cuckoo.
It is 100%. It is cuckoo.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
All right.
Yeah.
So
Wendy's at the table while they're still in the bathroom, and she's telling Karen and Giselle that, them questioning the way Mia is mothering her children is absolutely not their place to do.
Mm-hmm.
Then Giselle decides she's going to move on because she's got her hats to give out, and, too bad that Mia's crying in the bathroom.
Right.
So she gives Wendy the bucket hat, and it represents where she's been, and that they're going to get together tomorrow so that those two can have a little sit down and see if they can move past their differences. It's basically because Giselle doesn't have a buddy anymore, and she's going to need to be friends with somebody other than Karen.
Yes.
And Ashley, because Ashley's still her friend.
And then she proceeds to start schooling Wendy on how she should not be so demeaning when she speaks to and about other people.
Yes.
Giselle's
yes.
going to school somebody on that.
Yes.
She is the shadiest of them all.
Yes, she is. And then Stacey and Jassi come back to the table, and Giselle gives them the derby hat because they're new to the group, and she's welcoming them to the derby. Then a little bit later, Mia and Jacqueline come back, and she also gives Jacqueline the derby hat. And Giselle and Karen do apologize to Mia. But listen, Mia handled it fine at that point.
She did.
It was a little bit too late. And,
yes.
The apology, in my opinion, wasn't enough. And then next we see we're at Karen's house, and Ray is making coffee. Guess just to get a little Ray sighting. I don't really know what the point of that was.
I don't either, but I do love Ray, so I like
Ray.
to see him.
And then over at Mia's house, we see her talking to her son Jeremiah and her daughter Juju, and they're talking about the summer's coming. Then Giselle meets up with Wendy for lunch. Let me just say this, and I don't like to comment about people's looks, and it's not really about her look. It's just about her fashion choices. Wendy shows up with that crop top with her boobs hanging out and the big white feathers for a day lunch. Even if it was dinner, not the appropriate attire.
Probably not. Listen, if you're going out to the club with your husband, okay. Like, I think that Wendy feels very snatched right now. I think she put a lot of effort into her body, so she wants to show it off. But I agree with you. It's probably not the appropriate look for a lunch with a friend.
It was a little
during
much.
The day.
Right.
The sunlight.
Yeah, it just was a little It was a little much to see, and to see her, like, her boobs out, it just was too much for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you could even see Giselle's face. Like Giselle's like, "Ooh, the feathers," and then she said the feathers were. That she was open.
Open arms.
Open arms. Okay.
She's there with open arms.
Which, okay. Giselle also then goes on to say she's not coming to this conversation with any isms. She wants to hear what Wendy has to say. Wendy's criticizing Giselle and her eating her oysters, which I thought was hysterical. Like Giselle was not eating her oysters properly, according to Wendy.
It's a very sure thing. You're supposed to suck the oysters out of the shell.
Yeah.
But listen, I eat like buffalo chicken wings with a fork and a knife because I don't want that shit all over my fingers.
Yeah, no.
And Eric, clowns on me all the time. So, Giselle, you eat your oysters however you want to.
I agree because I would not be eating chicken wings with. I don't like to eat with my hands. I don't like to get food underneath my nails.
I'll slap an oyster out of a shell or a clam, but chicken wings I eat with a fork and knife.
Okay. So then Wendy says, I don't like the way you tried to alienate people. And Giselle says, going forward, if I have a problem with you, I will tell you in the moment. And they kind of both agree that that's, how they're going to move forward with their relationship.
I don't think they're going to have a problem now that Robin's gone.
No, they probably won't. They probably won't.
Because like you said, she needs some allies.
Yeah. So Giselle then asked Wendy how she felt about yesterday. And Wendy said that she thinks that Mia is hurt more than she let on, which I agree. I think she just let it go at that point. And Giselle once again starts throwing shade about Ink's height.
They can't let that shit go.
It's like, come on. Seriously? Like that's what you got to come up with? You can't just...
I mean, come on. Leave the guy alone.
Then we see Stacey is talking to her daughter, Arabella, and their au pair. I mean, I didn't catch how old her daughter was, but she's got to be 10 or 11, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so her au pair in Spanish, and she lets us know that her daughter is trilingual, which good for her.
Mm-hmm.
Good for her.
Mm-hmm.
So we find out a little bit more about Stacey. So she's from Detroit, Michigan. She also lived in Philadelphia and the D.C. area. Now she's in Potomac. Her husband is German, so they also have a house in Munich. I mean, listen.
That's awesome.
They are worldly, right?
Yeah, yeah. Did she say where she met him?
She did not say where she met him.
Oh, I was just curious. I thought maybe I missed it. Okay.
No, she said where she met her boyfriend, but she did not say where she met her husband.
She does mention QVC a lot.
Yes, she does. She does.
I like that side apartment she's got, though.
I do, too. So she goes on to tell Ashley, because Ashley shows up there, and that her and her husband are still living together, but they do sleep in separate bedrooms.
Did you see the look on Ashley's face?
Yeah, and I'm like, why is Ashley judging that? She did the same thing. I know.
Like, she should be supportive of it and be like, yeah, girl, I get it.
Right, exactly. I was surprised that their daughter Annabelle doesn't know what's going on because she's talking about Annabelle going to Cabo with her dad on
Arabella,
spring break. And she's, quizzing her about the phone numbers. Do you know his phone number? Do you know my phone number? And that's when we find out that she's got that separate DC apartment, which, listen, if that's what works for you, then that's what works for you. But the kid is 10 years old. She's going to figure it out.
Doesn't she wonder why they're not all going on vacation together? Like, I guess she's just going to say she's working, but
right.
Isn't she not on QVC anymore? Didn't she leave QVC? Maybe she's got another gig.
She did leave QVC, and I'm sure she does have another gig, but
yeah, I
guess that's what they're going to tell her, but she's going to see the show. She's going to see the show. So, okay, whatever works for you. And then we see Kiarna. She goes over to Karen's.
Real quick, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Why did Ashley say she identifies as a Black woman when she's half white?
Okay, so we could go to that.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Was
no,
that
that's all right. No, it was, but I brought her. No, we can go to that because we'll go back to Kiarna. So Ashley does go over and they start walking, and she says to Ashley, what is your nationality? And Ashley says, well, my dad is white and my mom is Black. And she says, Stacey says, oh, so you're biracial, just like Arabella. And she said, I consider myself a Black woman because she was raised around Black people and because she is Black and white. So she considers herself a Black woman, which that makes perfect sense to me.
So she didn't really have a lot of exposure to her white side of the family, I guess.
Correct.
Got it.
Correct. Okay. And then Stacey asks her, like, what do you consider your boys? And that's when she said, listen, it's kind of something we're working through because, where they go to school right now, their skin color is not that much different than their classmates who are white. Because Ashley is so
Her boys are
light-skinned.
very fair. Her boys
Well,
are very fair.
and she's very light-skinned. And,
Yep.
her husband's from Australia. So to the naked eye, they do not appear to be biracial or Black. And,
Right.
they are not surrounded by, I guess, Black people where they're going to school. The only
Right.
Black people that they are around is her family.
Right.
So she wants to make sure that that's an important part of their life, which I
Yeah,
get
of
that. I
course.
mean, that's their heritage. So I totally
Yeah.
get that.
Yeah.
And that's what Stacey talks about, that like she feels like her daughter is missing out on that because where she grew up, she was surrounded by Black people and, her
her whole
family's,
family.
yeah, and they're in Minnesota. So where she's at, that's not what she's seeing. And she wants her to, have that.
I think she's from Michigan, isn't she?
Was it Michigan? Detroit, Michigan. Yes.
Yeah.
Did I just say Minnesota?
Yeah, but that's
Yeah,
all-
Michigan. Yeah, Detroit, Michigan. Michigan.
The MIs.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Michigan, Detroit, Michigan. So yeah, I get that she wants, her to feel that, but she's the one who's going to have to do it.
Yeah, because if your family's not around, like I can't even imagine, my kids growing up without their cousins around.
Mm-hmm.
And that's extra pressure on you to make sure they spend time with them at some point,
Yes.
You have, like, she's going to have to bring them there and, have her around that side of her side of the family.
Yes.
I mean, I don't imagine she sees her father's side of the family very often either if they're in Germany.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, but they do have a house there.
Yeah.
So, maybe they do vacation there. And then Ashley asks Stacey about the dating situation. And she says that I'm going to be completely vulnerable. I love someone, but he's a devout Christian. So we are not intimate at all. And again, Ashley looks mortified. Like, what? Like, how are you doing this? She says, listen, he wants to wait until marriage. So it may be a year. Like, it's only been. And she's like, will you see him as marriage material? And she's like, well, yeah, I do.
And path we're on, yeah.
Yeah. And another thing she's surprised by, because I guess she's seeing him as like a rebound, which, I get, but if they're taking it slow.
Yeah, they have plenty of time to find out. And if they're not intimate with each other, that's even better.
Yes.
Because it's less emotion involved.
Yes, I agree. And we find out how she met him, that, he was auditioning for QVC to be an on-air host. I guess he got the job. I don't know.
He must have. But then she left.
Right. And I guess it's probably better because, their communication is, over the phone or FaceTime or whatever.
Yeah.
When they're not together. So I guess that works. And just prior to that, Kiarna goes over to Karen's house for her birthday. And Karen says ever since the incident that happened at the runway show last year, where she had to wind up going to the hospital and Karen went with her in the ambulance to the hospital, she's gotten really close to her because she wasn't friends with her before. She was friends with Ashley, I think, right?
No, she was friends with Wendy. I think Wendy brought Kiarna on, didn't she?
Was it Wendy? I just know she was going for Candace.
I can picture Candace, Wendy, sitting at a bar. And I think that's where Wendy introduced Kiarna. I could be wrong, but I don't know why I'm picturing that. Was she went after Candace? I thought it was and I'm not calling her this, but they called her this. I thought it was Ashley's friend that they called Big Bird. I thought that's who Kiarna got into the fight with.
No.
It wasn't Big Bird going after, and I'm sorry, going after Candace, saying shit to Candace, and Kiarna. I thought Kiarna was sticking up for Candace. I could be wrong.
Oh, you know what? Now I'm going to have to rewatch it.
I know. It's confusing.
I do know that they were all of those people were involved in it that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was saying that I know at the runway show, it was something between Candace, Kiarna, and Big Bird. You're right. I don't know her name either, to be quite honest with you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to you. Even though I don't think you were a good addition to the show, and I do think you specifically came on. Who was she? I think she was trying to say Chris Bassett was hitting on her.
She was. And wait, now was it Big Bird or was she calling her a Muppet? I don't know if it was specifically Big Bird.
You're right. Somebody else.
It was a Muppet, but it doesn't matter.
These girls throw the funniest shit, though. I mean, Lord, I'm not saying it again, people. I'm not judging her looks.
No, we are not. You're absolutely not.
Eating what the Potomac ladies have put out there.
So back to Kiarna. So Karen asks her about, how's it going with her man Greg. And she lets us know that they're building a house together. And and they're living together now because they're living in his house while they're building this house together. But she is not engaged to him. And, she is expecting, I guess, something for the future. But Karen's trying to tell her that, maybe you need to get something a little bit more concrete.
Listen, if they're buying a house together and they're equal partners and her name is going on the house, she owns half the house. She doesn't need anything else if she doesn't want it. If she wants it, that's a different story. But it's not up to Karen to tell her what she needs out of a relationship.
Well, that's 100% true.
I would, I always wanted to get married, but not everybody does. If her focus is on a home, okay.
Right, exactly.
Her name's going on it, so she's half of that's hers.
Exactly. And they're building it together, so it's not like they're building it. And she does bring up that, she hasn't really lived with a man since her fiance passed away. So
I didn't catch that part.
Yes.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah. I don't know if she said that to Karen or she said that in the confessional, but she definitely said that.
Oh, jeez, I didn't even catch that. That's sad.
It is sad. It is sad. And then what goes on next?
Well, Kiarna did mention not being invited to Karen's birthday lunch, and Karen.
Yes.
I don't know how she reacted, but she did not come out and say, she did not have Giselle's back and say, Giselle asked me who I wanted there, and I didn't mention your name.
Oh, of course she wouldn't do that.
But that's the God's honest truth.
Right.
I mean, I'm not one to stick up for Giselle.
Right.
But in this case, I'm going to do it because Giselle gave her the option to give her a couple of people to invite, and Kiarna wasn't one of them.
Right. No, you're right. 100% correct.
And then they discussed how she's not invited to the G&A event. So I do think it was I think Kiarna was sticking up for Candace because it was Ashley's friend. So there's something between Ashley and Kiarna.
Well, though, because she said Giselle will invite you to the G&A event. And then Giselle did invite her to the G&A event. She chose not to go and to stay at Karen's because of what happened at the other one. So I don't know. We'll figure it out.
We will.
I mean, it's only episode 2,
Right.
So then we see Karen goes over to Giselle's house, and Giselle, being messy like she is, asked her how she got there. Did she get there by Uber? And Karen said, well, if Beyonce can have a driver, then so can I. I don't know why you feel the need to compare yourself to Beyonce. And I don't know. Yeah.
At this point, I wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't.
I'm just saying.
I would not either. But it was just a way for Giselle to bring up Blue Eyes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure.
Right?
Somebody put on Facebook, why isn't, what's her face? The one who brought up Blue Eyes. Charisse? Is that her name?
Yes.
She was one of the originals.
Yes.
Yeah,
Charisse.
why isn't she on this season? Because she was on last season. But she didn't do nothing last year. She didn't bring anything to the table. I never liked her. I didn't like her the first season.
I know, I didn't either. And there's so much animosity between her and Karen.
For sure.
So it wouldn't make sense to bring her on if they're getting, they're trying to, no.
Yeah.
So then she says, Giselle asked Karen how she liked her, Hatitude party. And she says, well, I felt like it was an Inquisition Hatitude party. And Giselle said she didn't think that was shade. She just, thought that people wanted to know. And she was there to ask the questions. And then Karen just kind of let it go. And she did say, actually, in her confessional, that if Giselle wasn't giving her shade, then that wouldn't be their friendship. And that's one of the reasons she likes her. So, you know what? Then she deserves everything that she gets from Giselle. She knows it's coming.
Yep.
And then she goes on to say about Giselle giving Wendy that bucket hat. That was something. Like she thought that was some serious shade. But Giselle lets her know that she met with Wendy and now everything with her, those two are cool.
They're moving on.
Yes, they're going to move on. Then Giselle once again brings up Jacqueline had questions for her before she got there. And I didn't realize that Karen was mad at Jacqueline about what she had said. That she said,
neither.
We'll wait until, this all plays out, which is a normal thing to say, I think.
It is a very normal thing to say. And I understand you want your besties to ride or die for you, as they should. But she's not one of your besties.
Right.
She's just not.
Right.
And people have the right to question this. Like you made a big mistake. Big mistake. So people are going to ask questions and you have to, you don't have to answer them for sure, but you can't get mad at them for asking questions. They're on a show with you.
Yeah. I agree. I totally agree.
She's almost like Heather in that respect, where like she doesn't want to be questioned. She doesn't want to have, she doesn't want to look anything less than perfect. It's not possible. It's not attainable to be perfect.
Yeah. No, I agree. I
And the
totally
more
agree.
you strive to look perfect, the less perfect you look. I mean, come on, people. I'm not a psychologist over here. I don't even have a bachelor's degree, for crying out loud, and I can write this shit. Come on.
And then what happens? Then Karen says to Giselle about Kiarna being upset that she wasn't invited to the party. And Giselle's response is that I can only invite a certain number of people. She didn't even mention the fact that, Karen didn't give her the name.
I was shocked that she didn't mention that. I was shocked.
I was too. And then she said, well, I'll invite her to the GNA event.
She did say that. You're right.
Yeah.
She did
So then we find out, I'm glad we found this out. So like I said, originally the GNA was the athleisure wear. And now they're calling it Fusion because she's changing the direction. She's going to make it more of a wellness company. Since the passing of her father from a brain tumor, she wants to include things that will help you stay well instead of clothing.
I didn't realize her father was diagnosed and then passed away 12 days later.
Neither did I.
Terrible.
Yeah.
That's terrible. I feel bad for her.
No, it is terrible.
I mean, I hope she, and I'm sure she did. I'm sure she went there as soon as she got the news and stayed with him until he passed.
Yes. Yes. So, and Karen knows this, right? And she talks about how she's, it's kind of a fundraiser to make awareness to the Brain Tumor Foundation. I wrote it down what it's called. And the whole time Karen's like, oh, well, my event is the same day. And she's like, well, what is your event? She's like, well, I'm getting the award for the Femme Powered. It's for entrepreneurs in the community that give back. And she's like, well, I'll be at your event, though. So Giselle's like, oh, so yours is like a luncheon or something? Well, I don't know exactly what time it is, she keeps saying. It was the next day. How can you not know what time it is?
Yeah. I think that Karen was totally trying to hijack Giselle's event, which is really, really shitty. And what Ashley said, I think is so true. Karen put so much emphasis on how she's still mourning her parents.
Mm-hmm.
And this is an event for Giselle to celebrate her father.
Yes.
And how dare you? Listen, Karen, God bless you won an award. I don't know how you won an award after getting that DUI, but I digress. She should have been like, listen, ladies, I would have loved for you to be there for me, but this is so important to Giselle and and for her father's memory. You go to that. That's what she should have done. I'm sure Karen's got plenty of other friends in the area that could have been there to support her, but the camera wouldn't have been on her, and that's the problem.
It's ridiculous, to be quite honest with you. I think what she did was horrible. I think it was horrible. I think it was horrible. And then we see at 6 a.m. the next day, Giselle gets the text from Karen to the group. There are 2 events scheduled at the same time. Transportation shuttle service has been graciously offered from the Femme Powered back to the GNA event. What? Are you kidding me? I mean, come on. And Giselle immediately texts back into the group. No need for everyone to be running all over town, ladies. Please just go to Karen's event. Which, you know what? I would have done the same thing.
I would have done the same thing. And honestly, I don't agree with how Giselle handled it when those women showed up, because I do think that they made a valiant effort to get there by 8 o'clock so they could be there for the last hour. However, I will say this. Giselle's event was obviously announced first. Her invitations went out first. You responded to her first. You go to her event.
Right.
Sorry, Karen. Like, I understand, like, Wendy's closer with Karen, but come on.
Right.
Look at Vivian. Karen brought Vivian in, and she went to Giselle's event and didn't split her time.
No. Well, she wasn't in the group text.
Oh, she didn't know about Karen's event.
And neither did, Jacqueline wasn't in the group text either. And they said that, actually.
So I didn't pick up on that.
But they both did say, we RSVP to this event. And that is what we will go to. And I agree with you 100%. Wendy is closer with Karen. All she needed to do was send a text message to Giselle. I'm sorry. I know I said I'd be there. I feel like I need to support Karen. My apologies. maybe
Yeah.
next time. That's it.
Yeah,
That's all you had to do.
absolutely.
That's all you had to
Absolutely.
do. I think what she did was horrible. I think what Karen did to Giselle was absolutely horrible.
Yeah, and you can see, so I guess, they obviously they have a falling out because we've seen some coming attractions with Giselle indicating that. And I mean, I would understand if this was it because I would be furious. But I don't think she should have taken it out on the three girls who did make the effort to get back there by 8 o'clock, especially because they were all the newbies, right?
Yeah, so it was
Stacey.
Mia, Jassi, and Stacey.
Okay. Listen, I mean, they tried. They really did try.
They
tried
did try.
what they thought was the right thing, but really the right thing would have been to tell Karen, like, sorry, bitch. One day's notice and we have something else.
No, I totally agree. It was the National Brain Tumor Society, and it was to help raise awareness. I 100% agree with you. I just think, and I know that's how Giselle is, and she was hot. And Ashley said, like, I told them to be here by 8 o'clock. And that's why they were there by 8 o'clock.
Exactly. And they got there by 8 o'clock. So they literally went to Karen's for a half hour.
I think 15 minutes. I don't even think they were there a half hour.
I think you're right.
I think they were literally there
back to
right.
Giselle. So don't kick them out.
And they left before she got her award. They took a picture. They left. They went back. We do see, because we don't know exactly what happens, we do see Ashley seeing what's going on, and she is running across the room. So I'm hoping Ashley can squash the kick out.
I'm hoping so too. I understand Giselle getting hot like that, but don't take it out on them, because really it was Karen who pulled this bullshit, not them.
Yes. And that's pretty much how it ends, is with that going on.
Yeah, I feel like these episodes fly by, Potomac.
Yeah, they have been going pretty quick, right?
Right? I'm like, oh my God, it's over already. Like, or when I fast forward through commercials, I'm like, oh shit, I only have 20 minutes left.
Yeah, no.
But I like that because, some of them, Salt Lake City drags on for me a little bit.
So this is what I want. Remember we were talking about the production companies?
Mm-hmm.
So I looked them all up. So I have some insight for you.
Awesome.
So Real Housewives, we'll start with Potomac because we just did that one. Real Housewives of Potomac is done by originally True Entertainment. And that was the same for Real Housewives of Atlanta, but they switched to Truly Original, both Real Housewives of Atlanta and Real Housewives of Potomac. Truly Original has been doing those two since season 3 on Potomac to present, and on Atlanta, season 10 until present. Truly Original.
Atlanta and Potomac still have the same production company.
Yes. Truly Original also does Real Housewives of Dubai and Winter House.
Oh, interesting.
Yep.
We didn't have one of those this year.
We did not. Or no, maybe we did and we didn't watch it. I think we did. We didn't watch it.
I would have watched it.
You would have? Are you sure?
I promise. There was only 2 seasons.
No, I have 3 seasons. Three. I have three seasons. Okay, so then Real Housewives of New York is Shed Media, and that has been from season 3 on. I don't know who did it the first 2 seasons. Shed Media.
Interesting that even with the reboot, they kept the same production company.
Yes. Shed Media also does Real Housewives of Salt Lake City and Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. So we are watching New York right now and Salt Lake City at the same time. And remember we were saying about how things were similar with...
Yes. With the flashbacks and the separate conversations.
Yes. And the cinematography going through the home and the furniture shopping. Same production company.
That's very interesting.
Right? I thought so too. Now, Real Housewives of New Jersey. That has been Siren Media from the very beginning, and that is all they do. Real Housewives of New Jersey.
They only do Jersey.
They only do Jersey.
For some reason, I thought Jersey and OC were going to have the same production company.
I actually did too. So where's my OC one? That's not good. It's not on my spreadsheet. I'm going to have to get back to you about OC. I must have made a mistake.
I'm just curious. Do you happen to remember if OC and Beverly Hills are the same production company?
So Beverly Hills is Evolution Media. Where did my OC go?
I don't know. You want me to ask Theory?
Yes, ask Siri. Ask Siri.
Siri, who produces Real Housewives of OC?
Its executive producers are Adam Purple, Alex Thurston, Douglas Ross, Gregory Stewart, Scott Dunlap, Stephanie Boyd, and Wendy Cohen.
What production company?
Siri, what production company does the Real Housewives of Orange County use? Evolution.
Evolution.
So who uses that? Beverly Hills?
Beverly Hills.
Yeah, so they have
That's
the
right.
same,
That's right.
which I guess makes sense because
they're
of
both in California.
location, right?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
and
That's it.
Potomac and Atlanta aren't too far away from each other.
Right.
It's interesting that New Jersey is the only one that doesn't has their
Separate.
own.
Sirens
Yeah,
Media.
Yeah.
When Real Housewives of DC was on, it was only on for one season, and that was half yard production. Like you just said, Beverly Hills and Orange County are Evolution Media.
What was Dallas?
What?
Dallas.
Dallas was Real Housewives of Dallas. Here we go. Wondery. Totally different. Wondery.
Yeah.
Real Housewives of Miami was Purveyors of Pop. That's all they did. Potomac, Truly Original. Dallas, Wondery. Salt Lake City, Shed Media. Dubai, Truly Original. Real Housewives, I told you, Ultimate Girls Trip, Shed Media. Summer House and Family Karma and Real Housewives of Dallas are all Wondery.
Okay.
So I'm surprised that Summer House and Winter House aren't the same.
I know. That's interesting.
Yeah. And then Family Karma's in there too. And I miss Family Karma. I loved that show. Did you never watched that?
I never watched Family Karma.
It was only 3 seasons.
I know you liked it though.
I did like it. So I just thought that was interesting that, the different production companies, you definitely see it. You see it.
You see similarities. I mean, that's so interesting about Salt Lake City and New York.
Yeah.
Because we said it.
Yes, we did. And that's why I wanted to look it up. I said, let me check this out.
Yeah.
So yeah, and
you
then
have to
OC.
tell Lori because she thought so too.
Oh,
she
yeah.
was noticing the cinematography and everything.
Maybe if she listens to the podcast, she'll hear it.
Fat chance. Well, she won't listen to this one because she doesn't watch Potomac. I think, you know what? Let's not even get into it.
Stop. Yeah, stop.
I'm not doing it. Nope. Not doing it.
I'm going to make an announcement. Remember I switched to the straw for my wine
Yes.
because I was making too much noise sipping? Well, one of our listeners said that I should not do that. I should not, give in
sip
to...
away.
Right. Give to sip away. I said, listen, I didn't really like the way it sounded either. Well, I just was doing some research about, I drink with a straw all the time. I always have because it makes me drink more because I drink a lot during the day.
Right.
But I just was doing a little research about these little wrinkles around my lips. It's from drinking with a straw.
It is from drinking with a straw.
So guess what? I'm giving up the straw. I'm not drinking with a straw
anymore. It's the same
anymore.
thing as like a smoker's line.
Smoking a cigarette, and I'm getting them from straw drinking. So you're not going to see a straw anymore. So if you hear me sipping, it's because I've decided that I don't want the lines around my lips. Yeah, deal with it.
Deal with the slurping.
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I'm drinking more water too. I have been drinking water, but they also say that that's going to help plump back those lines up.
Oh, yeah. Water's essential. Water is essential. I drink so much water during the day. It's ridiculous. And at night. Really.
No, I agree.
Yeah, so you have to drink water. It's very healthy.
Okay. That's it, right?
I do. I mean, I feel like we've accomplished a lot. We've recounted Potomac. We've given a PSA on the water intake.
Yeah. What else can we do? It's only one episode.
Really. Exactly. We can't save the world in one episode.
Thank you for watching and listening to We Wine Whenever. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.